What's up, boys? Today I'm going to be hosting a tournament on NBA 2K22 of the best players born in every state in the USA. This is a long one, so I'd understand if you added this video to your watch later playlist and forgot to ever come back to it. I was working on this video for weeks and ended up with over a day's worth of footage. How each team was assembled is I found 5 of the best players from each state based off their overall in 2K in their prime while considering their positions. I made sure to include players not in 2K like Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, and Rasheed Wallace. After going through every state's best players, I was able to make 30 teams, which seemed adequate because my first thought was to have enough teams for a My League simulation. Now, not every state could form a team. Vermont, for instance, has never produced an NBA player. Some states are just too busy doing drugs and their cousins to get in the gym, and to each their own. So I ended up having to combine some states to form one team, like the lowest preseason power ranking team, Mass Neckwear, which is a combination of Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Delaware. Ranked above them is Canada, which shows you I was scraping the bottom of the barrel for teams. You may think this team is missing Steve Nash, but that man is an African king. And not because it's 2022 and you can be whatever you want, he was literally born in South Africa. Team Ariata is a combination of Arizona, Colorado, and Utah. Washington, D.C. is a very solid team on paper, but ranked 27th in the preseason power rankings. And somehow Iowa, Iowa, Kansas, and South Dakota is ranked above them, which is the whitest team on the list, and to no surprise, by far the worst team by overall. Michigan is solid, but they're playing small ball. Their point guard, Magic Johnson, will be just as tall as their center. Now, thank God Louisiana had Bob Pettit on their team, or all the new viewers would be reporting me right now. I made their jersey the Popeyes chicken logo. I looked up Louisiana, and this was my favorite jersey. I couldn't help myself. Illinois is looking very solid, but they have a very small 1 through 3 with Dwayne Wade at the small forward. New Jersey is a defensive juggernaut with Dennis Rodman and Shaq, with some great shooters at the 1 and 2. Pennsylvania might have the best big 3 of all teams with Pistol Pete, Kobe, and the home wrecker, scratch that, home destroyer, Wilt Chamberlain. Mississippi, not impressed. Quite frankly, I expected more out of the poorest state in the country. New York's main team was so good that I had to create a B team for them, which still had a plus 90 average overall. South Carolina is going to be very exciting to watch with Ja Morant and Kevin Garnett. Maryland isn't that good, and it includes the one player I realized I messed up on. Jalen Smith was born in Virginia. Doesn't really matter though, this team is garbage. Indiana, of course, has Larry Bird, but the rest of the team isn't that impressive in these circumstances. New York's A team has an average overall of 97.2. They have 299 overall players, Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Don't sleep on Ohio with their old head white boys. They have Stephen Curry, LeBron James, and LeBron's father, Nate Thurman. Oregon/Washington, great guards, average big men. Wisconsin/Minnesota is very mid. 190 plus overall player, probably not going to do much. Team California is stacked all around. I made the decision to take 89 Mark Eaton over 91 Kevin Love and 93 Paul George. Eaton will be able to stop some of the dominant big men on this roster. He's 7'4" and one of the best shot blockers of all time. I love Team Florida. They have the cousins Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, and 2 dominant 7-footers in David Robinson and Artis Gilmore. I thought Texas would be much better for the size of the state, but this isn't football. Tennessee/Kentucky is a weird team. They have 2 old head centers under 6'9" and 3 all-time great point guards. Alabama is going to be really good on defense and the boards while being led by Charles Barkley. Definitely the most likely team to start a violent brawl on the court. Arkansas, great 1 through 3, average 4 and 5. Possibly the ugliest team assembled, and I think we all know why that might be. North Carolina is very good. They may not have Michael Jordan, but replacing him is 95 overall David Thompson, who once scored 73 points in a game. Virginia/West Virginia is an odd but excellent team. They have 2 6-foot point guards and 3 legit centers. My home state of Missouri had to combine with Oklahoma. Their jersey is a McDonald's logo because I searched my state's favorite drug, and I found this, which also goes along with Oklahoma's 8th wonder of the world. California's B team is very good for being the leftovers of the state. I probably could have formed a C team in California because I still left out Gary Payton, Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan, Klay Thompson, Tyson Chandler, and etc. I hope you've realized the inaccuracies of these power rankings by now, because number 1 is Georgia. Not terrible, but definitely no chance at winning it all. To make this league fair, I turned off injuries, fatigue, wear and tear, progression, and regression, and included hundreds of Al-Farouq Aminus to fill in their rosters and free agency. And every member of the starting 5s I chose will be playing 48 minutes a game. By the All-Star break, I realized that there had been an invasion of Aminus stealing minutes from about a third of the teams, which surely would affect the standings and therefore the playoffs, So I came up with another fair tournament method, a 30-team bracket based off of the records after the regular season is done. I'll watch every game so the simulation algorithm is not a factor, and every team from California to Ioconda will have a fair shot at winning the tournament. Canada finished dead last in the rankings. Say all you want about our healthcare and school shootings, but damn can we put a ball in a hoop. The MVP of the season was Charles Barkley, who averaged a 30-point triple-double. Sixth man of the year, to no surprise, of course it's Al-Farouq Aminu. In the postseason, Kentucky swept the playoffs and New Jersey took out New York and finished second. But based off the regular season record, here is the 30-team bracket. Ohio and Pennsylvania will have a first-round bye as the 1 and 2 seed. The champions Kentucky is in the same side of the bracket as the number 1 seed Ohio. California A and B are likely matchups if they can get past Pennsylvania. New York will be representing the US against Canada in the first round, and the best first round matchup likely will be number 14 Illinois versus 19 Texas. The first round will also be 5-minute quarters with a 20-point mercy rule. The first matchup we're going to watch is 16 seed Alabama versus 17 seed Mississippi. This game can be summed up in a few words: Charles Barkley and defense. Ben Wallace proved to be a beast at the power forward position, and 6'4" Barkley was proving that size doesn't matter by dominating inside. This team isn't the brightest, they're out here setting a double screen for their center in the paint, but they kept finding ways to score. 50 seconds left in the game and Boogie gets the first flagrant foul in the tournament. They still won, but in a real tournament he might be facing suspensions by the next round. But number 9 Michigan is going up against the underperforming 24 Arkansas. Michigan's star player is supposed to be Magic Johnson, but it turned out to be Devin Jenner. Their small ball style didn't seem to be an issue against these 80 overall inbred big men, and they eliminated Arkansas 27-36. Devin Jenner had 24 points by himself, which almost outscored Arkansas's total. Number 8 New Jersey versus number 25 Maryland was a blowout. I should have mercy ruled out of this one, but I just wanted to see how deep Shaq would penetrate the state of Maryland. I'd say it was internal bleeding deep, 24-56. Shaq had 18 and 18 with 1 miss. Number 4 North Carolina takes on number 29 Ioconda. The Iowa boys put up a good fight early on. They had the lead at a couple points during the first half, but lifting hay and hiding from tornadoes doesn't get you freak of nature athleticism. Being black does. North Carolina won 30-48. The best matchup yet, number 13 Washington DC takes on number 20 North Carolina. Kevin Garnett and Ja Morant were creating highlights early on, but then the old heads on Washington DC started to fight back. There was a missing report out for Kevin Durant. He was doing nothing to help them win this. It was back and forth until near the end of the fourth quarter. Ja Morant started throwing the game by missing open shots and committing turnovers. Thurl Bailey took this opportunity to take over the game and send South Carolina back home with their pants around their ankles like it was 1865. New York's B team took on number 20 Wisconsin/Minnesota, and before the end of the third quarter, it was a mercy rule, 13-34. The defending champs 5 seed Kentucky took on number 28 seed Mass Nectaware. It was close, but it really wasn't. Kentucky never lost the lead. They weren't very exciting to watch, and they won 30-39. On the other side of the bracket, we have number 15 California B team taking on number 18 Indiana, aka Larry Bird. But this isn't Indiana State in the Missouri Valley. Shit ain't sweet around here. Larry Bird did all that he could, but California's B team has shooters at every position, and ironically, they are on the Golden State Warriors. They won 30-44. Larry had 23 of their 30 points, and Paul Pierce might as well have taken his mid-game shit because he had 1 point on 0 for 3 shooting. My home team, number 23, Miss Homa, is up, but they have to play against the number 10 seed California. There were only 2 players on Miss Homa that were able to score, but to be fair, California has to be one of the favorites to win this. Number 7 Louisiana is taking on number 26 Ariata. Louisiana is the 4th best team by overall, led by Bill Russell and Karl Malone. The Thunder have 190 overall players, Chauncey Billups. Ariata had a 13-2 lead, but before the end of the first half, Clyde Drexler single-handedly took it back. It was tied at 25 in the fourth quarter, but Ariata just kept making sound plays. They were also so weird and aggressive that it threw Louisiana off their game. They had an 8-point lead at one point, and we all know that Karl Malone loves to finish inside, but these aren't middle school girls out there. These are grown men. Louisiana lost 35-29. Chauncey had 12 points, and John Collins almost had a double-double on Bill Russell and Karl Malone. Going up against the lowest seed Canada is New York's A team, and it didn't even go into the fourth quarter. The whole country of Canada was quickly defeated by a 30-mile radius in New York. Number 14 Illinois versus number 19 Texas was a great game, as I expected. Dwayne Wade was having himself a day, finishing plays left and right, throwing lobs, but Illinois was trailing Texas the entire game. Wade dunked on both their big men at once to bring the lead back down to 1 with a minute left. He almost took the lead on a fadeaway shot over Jimmy Butler, but this led to Isaiah Thomas guarding LaMarcus Aldridge. He brought the lead back to 3. They still had plenty of time on the clock to come back, but off the inbound, AD turned it over, and that sealed the deal for another upset. Texas won 42-35. Wade did everything he could in this game. He scored 17 points. Meanwhile, Isaiah Thomas showed up to shoot 1 shot and turn the ball over 4 times. The last 2 first-round games were blowouts, and it will make for an interesting second-round game. Number 11 Florida mercy ruled Georgia 5-25 in the second quarter, and number 6 Virginia mercy ruled Oregon/Washington 9-30 even earlier in the second quarter. Here's the updated bracket for the second round. These games will be 6-minute quarters with no mercy rules. New York B will have the chance to take out the defending champs Kentucky. California B will play number 2 Pennsylvania, and if they win, they'll likely take on California's A team, which would be interesting. And the bottom of the bracket, 2 great matchups, New York versus Texas and Florida versus Virginia/West Virginia. Our first chance to see LeBron on Team Ohio, and he gets a test against 96 overall Charles Barkley. Curry and LeBron were looking very good early on, but Charles Barkley was still able to score when LeBron wasn't guarding him. We have Curry setting screens for LeBron, but it's a trick play. Curry popped out for a 3 after making the business decision of not touching Charles. Alabama looked great defensively in their first game, but they were outmatched in this one by Curry, LeBron, and LeBron Sr. Ohio took care of Alabama and won 17-34. Number 9 Michigan versus number 8 New Jersey is a very close matchup on paper. The only problem is Michigan is playing small ball and New Jersey has Shaq. Very first play and Chris Webber is running away from the Big Diesel, and this was a very good representation of the rest of this game. Shaq could cover so much ground and no one was capable of stopping him. Devin Jenner was the highest scorer in the first round, but that didn't work against New Jersey. Michigan is a good team, but this was a terrible matchup for them. Shaq finished with 23 and 14, and Kyrie had 16 on Magic. New Jersey won by 16 and will face Ohio in the Elite 8. Number 4 North Carolina is home against number 13 Washington, D.C. Durant showed up today, which was much needed against this all-90 squad. Washington, D.C. came out playing great, but Chris Paul was able to get past several defenders multiple times, which kept this game close. He tied it up after Dave Bing fouled him on a 3-pointer. CP3 pulled off a street ball move and threw it off Dave Bing's head. That should be a flagrant 2 and $1 million fine in today's game, but they let them play on. It's a 1-point game with just over a minute left in regulation, and Dave Bing finally answers back by hitting an open 3. Another important possession for North Carolina, but Elgin takes a charge on David Thompson. This leads to Kevin Durant hitting another 3-pointer, and that seals this win for 13 seed Washington, D.C. Chris Paul had 20 points, and everyone on D.C. had a mediocre performance, but it worked out well for them. New York's B team had an opportunity to take out 5 seed Kentucky. The first half was just a 3-point contest with very little defense. The game was back and forth until Oscar Robertson was called for a hard foul on Chris Mullin. The New York B team finally broke away after Chris Mullin turned into Larry Bird. He was pulling up in the face of Oscar Robertson and running in transition for 3-pointers. He looks like a cop, and that may have something to do with his shooting abilities around minorities, but New York B team pulled off another upset and will be facing Washington, D.C. in the quarterfinals. We get our first look at number 2 seed Pennsylvania as they take on number 15 seed California B team. This game was a block party for Wilt Chamberlain and Rasheed Wallace. California B team was able to hang around due to their one mismatch in Reggie Miller versus Richard Hamilton. Pennsylvania had 3 capable guards, while Jason Kidd and Paul Pierce weren't able to do much on offense. Paul George was having a decent game, and at one point he dunked on Kobe and Wilt, which doesn't happen every day. Kevin Love was out there looking like an overpaid math teacher while trying to guard Wilt Chamberlain. Reggie and PG-13 were able to bring the game within 2 points in the fourth quarter, and Kevin Love pulled out a little bit of white-on-white crime, which ought to bring some momentum to the team, but it didn't matter. Pennsylvania was just too consistent all around, and they won this game 53-62. Wilt Chamberlain had 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 blocks in his first showing. You may remember the biggest upset of the last round. Team Arietta took out the 7 seed Louisiana with their weird and physical style. Well, they were matched up with California's A team, and that didn't work out too well for them. They lost 22-51. Number 19 seed Texas is up against number 3 seed New York, and I really wish Illinois would have beaten Texas because they didn't stand a chance in this one. They hung around for a little bit, but they were just worse at every single position. This game slowly turned into a dunk contest for New York, and after Kareem finally showed up, it got out of hand. New York won 29-51, Jordan had 18, Melo had 15, and Kareem had 3 steals and 7 blocks. The winner of 11 seed Florida and 6 seed West Virginia/Virginia will go up against New York in the next round. Virginia's 3 center squad was paying off early. At one point, Alonzo Mourning dunked on Artis Gilmore while kicking through his ball's stomach and throat. Thankfully, injuries are off, so he battled back and even had a very impressive block on this play. But Allen Iverson and Jerry West were killing their guards on offense and defense. AI may be a felon, but Jerry West was the baddest dude on the court. He went out of bounds just to cross Vince Carter into a cameraman, and that is why he's the logo. Tracy McGrady and Mitch Richmond gave Florida a second win and had this game at a stalemate until the fourth quarter. But again, Virginia's 3 7-footer strategy dominated Florida in the paint, and Jerry West went back to his era by harassing black people and getting away with it. He got a fast break which put them up 6, and that lead held on, and sadly Florida is out after losing 48-46. Round 3, the Elite 8. From here on out, these games will be 9-minute quarters with no mercy rules. First up is 1 seed Ohio versus 8 seed New Jersey. Shaq was dominating in all of the games before this, but he met his match in his balding brother Nate Thurman. Curry was taking care of his business on offense, and meanwhile the whole front court was ganging up on Shaq. I'm pretty sure I just saw LeBron punch Shaq on the head after this jump ball. The New Jersey guards were keeping it close with 3-pointers. We had a very emotionally distraught LeBron in this one. He blocks a 3-pointer early in the shot clock and goes berserk. Then he dunks on one of the best defenders of all time and acts like it's just another day in the office. I think the LeBron punch on Shaq slowed his half a dozen brain cells down even more. The guy couldn't even rebound by the fourth quarter, or maybe he just didn't feel like it because his team was down 30. Ohio is going to the Final Four off this 30-point blowout. LeBron, Curry, and Havlicek all had over 20 points. Shaq did still have 26 and 18, but he shot his worst field goal percentage yet. Next, we have the underdog matchup with 13 seed DC and 12 seed New York B team. Neither team could pull away in the first half, and DC might be the weirdest team ever assembled. KD is either the best player on the floor or as useful as a trans man athlete. Dantley's a weirdo, open 3, nah, he'd rather wait for the defense to catch up so he can posterize somebody. And Dave Bing made a great move here just to throw it off the bottom of the rim. Nate Archibald accidentally made a great pass to Bob Lanier to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. Every time New York gets a stop, the Dream Team State Trooper is running the floor to the 3-point line, and DC could never pick up on this. KD's on fire, so he's feeling unstoppable against the New York B team. You might as well call him Flight 175, because this New York team just fell down and crumbled because of him. DC won by 4 points and will face Ohio in the Final Four. Chris Mullin had 25 points with 6 3-pointers, and Kevin Durant was DC's leading scorer with 23 points and 8 blocks, and the mysterious Adrian Dantley was only 2 assists away from a triple-double. California's A team had an opportunity to avenge their B team squad by taking out the 2 seed Pennsylvania. These two teams were very even in the paint when either Mark Eaton or Wilt Chamberlain were sitting inside. Kawhi got a dunk on Pete Maravich, and Kobe replied by saying, "No one dunks on my white boy like that," set Kawhi up and dunked all over him, throwing him off the screen. California started to pull away after James Harden said fuck it and started bombing threes. He led the game in points at the half, and California was up 9. And in the second half, Mark Eaton started to prove me right for choosing him over Kevin Love and Paul George. He was shutting Wilt Chamberlain down, let alone the state of Pennsylvania. Eaton threw Wilt on this play like he was trying to commit a hate crime. Pennsylvania just wasn't able to score in the paint for the rest of the game thanks to the Lumberjacks, and California took out the number 2 seed Pennsylvania 73-65. The man who scored 100 points in the game was held to just 10, and that might have had something to do with Eaton and Walton combining for 13 blocks. The last quarterfinals game is between 6 seed Virginia and 3 seed New York. Winner plays California in the semifinals. To start off the game, both sides were playing expose the old white dude. Jerry West was guarding Jordan, and Kuzi was on Iverson. The majority of these highlights in the first half happened at the expense of these two electricians. At halftime, it was a 4-point game. AI has 14, and Jordan has 29. Virginia was still trailing by the fourth quarter, but AI made a beautiful move on Jordan. Bob Cousy might as well went straight to inbounding the ball because there was no chance he was stopping 7'4" Ralph Sampson. Jerry West was open on a 3 and knocks it down, tying the game at 69 with 30 seconds left. New York goes right back to the Jordan mismatch, but but he is blocked by Moses Malone. There's only a few seconds left on the shot clock, and Jerry West sold so badly. Jordan gets an open three, Jerry contests him at dick level, and it goes in. Virginia was so close to taking out the New York powerhouse, but their lack of size at the shooting guard position screwed them. Jordan had 35, and AI didn't help by shooting 9 for 30. I didn't show it, but most of their offense was him trying to ISO and the 3 big men cleaning up on the boards. The first semifinals matchup is the 13th seed Washington, D.C. against the 1 seed Ohio. I purposely matched up LeBron and Durant to spice things up, but the only spicy thing out here was KD drinking LeBron's ball sweat after getting dunked on 50 times. KD gets fouled while down 16 and starts trash talking LeBron, so what does LeBron do? He just goes right by him and dunks again. Checking in on Curry's performance, he's hitting open shots, setting up alley-oops for LeBron, and casually hitting full court shots. Ohio wins this one with another blowout, 53-78. The real matchup of the semifinals is California versus New York. Jordan makes a great move, but Mark Eaton had to show him how it's done. Bob Cousy struggled to get a shot off in this one. He was the shortest player on the court by 4 inches. Mark Eaton put the team on his hairy back. Who else can manage to get 3 shots off in one possession against Kareem? James Harden was playing off the Hennessy. He just didn't care anymore. If he could see the rim, he was going to shoot it for better or for worse. Ray Allen hit a deep 3, giving California the biggest lead of the game. Kareem and Jordan took that lead back in only 3 minutes of game time. James Harden is cold, but it doesn't matter. Double step back, dagger, 2-point game. James has 99 Kareem in his face. Fuck it, Kobe. He's on a cold streak again. There's 4 defenders in the paint, but it doesn't matter to him. One of the best defenders ever is on him. Just toss it up, see what happens. And all this James Harden camera time left California vulnerable. Dr. J finished over Ray Allen, and it's now a 4-point game with 19 seconds left. But they have a chance to come back if they can keep the ball out of Harden's hands, and they throw it off Kareem's afro. Never mind, that's the ball game. New York wins 75-69 and will face Ohio in the finals. This is for all the marbles. Number 1 seed Ohio versus number 3 seed New York. I had LeBron matched up with Jordan at the shooting guard. The only real advantage in this lineup is with Kareem, but Nate Thurmond has slowed down Shaq before, so maybe he can do it again against Kareem. New York takes an early lead and Jordan is doing his thing, but LeBron is hitting them right back. Don't sleep on the old white guys in the YMCA. Jerry Lucas teleports Carmelo back to block him, which leads to a LeBron 3-pointer. These two teams kept battling it out, but Nate Thurmond, the difference maker, misses, gets his rebound, blocked by Kareem, but he doesn't quit on the play. Dr. J is diving out of bounds. These guys are all afros, no brains. Nate Thurmond finishes the play on his 3rd attempt. Mark Eaton would be so proud of him. Jordan fakes a shot on LeBron, but he doesn't budge. He's been studying him for years. Jordan airballs. LeBron says, anything you can do, I can do better. Almost turns it over and airballs. Take that, MJ. Jordan dunks on LeBron. LeBron dunks on Jordan. It's a 1-point game at the half, but Curry opens up the 3rd quarter with an alley-oop to LeBron. Jordan responds by turning LeBron into a ghost, goes right through him and dunks on him. John Havlicek goes up with the goofiest move in the entire playoffs, and it's good. Carmelo out of nowhere gets 2 dunks in a row, which gives New York the lead in the 4th quarter. Jordan is spamming shot fakes. He gets LeBron jumping, and they have a 4-point lead. The white guys are coming straight out of James Naismith's playbook and answer back with a fundamental layup. LeBron gives the ball to his father. He gives it to his grandson, and the game is tied at 55. It's crunch time, so the 99 overalls are here to ball hog. Kareem tries throwing it down on Nate Thurmond, but he's all roided up. That's no good. Jordan gets LeBron in a 1-on-1, and he misses. LeBron wants Jordan. He fades away, double teamed, and it's good. Kareem for the tie. He should have skyhooked it. It's no good. Curry has a ball, hop steps through traffic and over Kareem. He is too strong. Shout out Aisha. New York with another stop, and Jordan still won't pass it. It looks like LeBron blocked it, but I couldn't tell. Either way, 2 bad shots in a row, and they have to start fouling. It looks like Jordan threw it off the bottom of the rim like a special ed kid in PE. Jordan still won't pass the ball. He's trying to solo squad like he's high distortion, but it didn't work out for him. LeBron outscored Jordan while taking fewer shots. How will this affect Legacy's LeBron? And it's all Ohio. Always has been, always will be.